Hello and welcome to the Cello Circle. I'm here today with Yuriy Leonovich. He is in South Carolina. And Yuriy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you've been and where you are now and what you do?
Thank you. So I'm really happy to be here. And I'm currently the cello professor at Bob Jones University in Greenville, South Carolina. And I've been here, this is my 8th year here. I came here almost out of college. I had to spend a year kind of freelancing before I landed this job. And the uh, students that I usually teach are the higher level, usually majors. So the cello majors that come through. I have some performance majors, some education majors, and actually we have a new program for our Bachelor's of Arts and Bachelor's of Science. I don't have any students in that program yet, but I have some really talented non-majors that I believe should have gone into cello. One student actually won the concerto competition last year with Rococo Variations and got to play that in September. Um, so it, my job is very varied. I would say studio teaching is just part of what I do. I have a string orchestra. Somehow I got an idea that I'd like to play a concerto with them every year, so I get to play a concerto with them. The first concerto I ever played just as a trial was one of the Vivaldi concertos, and they enjoyed it, and it was well received. So I play things like hide and seek without winds, works well. Played the Boccherini concerto, just different things. What did I play this year? I played a CPE Bach concerto uh, this year, and next year I'm hoping to do a Leopold Hoffman. But I also feature my colleagues. Uh, I feel like the symphony orchestra is kind of on a schedule, and they have their own thing. And I've played with a symphony orchestra before, the Brahms double with my wife. Actually, that was a pretty awesome experience. But um, I offer 4 concerts a year, and my colleagues are always playing. Like this week, actually, on Friday, one of my colleagues is playing a Haydn G major violin concerto, which I'm not really sure if it's Haydn, but we'll find out soon. Um, so yeah, I have a flutist colleague. Last year she played the Corelliano piece. This year she's planning to play another CPE Bach concerto, so we're gonna have 2 CPE Bach concertos this year. I also
That's
teach orchestra rep. That kind of comes naturally to me because I'm a cellist, and we play Beethoven 5 in our sleep, the second and third movements. And so I teach that, but I also teach violins and violas. I have those in my class, and so that's really fun. We're doing Scheherazade this week with our violinists. Um, I also teach string literature survey. That's a really fun course. That was just dropped in my lap. My super said, "Hey, you can make whatever you want out of it." So I decided that I don't want to spread myself too thin. So we're doing sonatas from 1700s to contemporary. So we start at Corelli. We do Corelli violin sonatas. I teach Vivaldi, Bach. We go all the way through Franck. Do some Chopin. And we end up on Bolkam's cello pieces,
great.
and it's really fun. I feel like I'm kind of an all-around musician. I don't think of myself as cellist except for the each morning when I practice. Otherwise, I'm kind of doing a lot of things. I have to wear a lot of hats during the day.
Yeah, nice. And
So
so what is your interest in the Suzuki repertoire? How did you get to be researching that?
as I am wearing lots of hats, I actually kind of started in Suzuki method in public school at uh, Bernie Middle School. So
Right.
our teacher puts Suzuki in front of us. So that's kind of my background. Like right from the beginning, I was familiar with the Suzuki repertoire. My dream piece was the Boccherini Minuet from Suzuki Book 3, which I got to play at 12 years old. So I kind of, uh, th this was actually before I even got a teacher. I got the goal that I wanted to complete the Suzuki books, whether by myself or with someone. I'm kind of like, I'll start and I gotta go all the way to the end. So I bought all the books and I learned treble clef pretty quickly just by myself. I was playing alto clef because I wanted the viola books too.
Just drop
So I was
something.
playing the alto clef like less than a year since I started the cello. As far as researching, I took everything at face value. You know, as a kid, you just you have this repertoire in front of you. You're saying, hey, I really want to play that Lully Gavotte, or I want to play the Gossett Gavotte, or the Bach Gavotte. So many Gavottes, love Gavottes. So uh, my research kind of started uh, when I was actually 12 years old, and Andre, you know, Harmony House. That was we had a few Harmony Houses. We had the
That Harmony
classical
House
one,
was incredible. That it was
loved it.
just amazing.
But the Harmony House I'm talking about was across the street, kind of a mile away, was the regular Harmony House that I went to. I actually didn't know about the classical one. So
That's so funny.
I went to the regular Harmony House that's still it's called FYE on Woodward now, and I was flipping through Bach because I really wanted to play that Gavotte from the Third Suite. So I started flipping through Bach CDs and trying to find Gavottes, and I find this Gavotte and Rondo, which I figured out was from the third partita in A major for violin, but it was played by guitar on that CD. So I was just like one little confused kid, like, what is all of this? But that CD, I had it on like I played it over and over. It had the minuet in G and Wachet auf, air on the G string. Like, why is it called air on the G string? I didn't know. Like, the violins are playing pretty high if it's going to be called air on the G string. But whatever, you know, I'm a kid. I'm just like, that's the air on the G string, right?
Right.
So, uh, as I found out about pretty early on about the Harmony House Classical, there was a cellist, you probably know her, Irina Tikhonova.
Yeah.
She played in Dearborn and in Flint. And she was like, hey, you know, you're a cellist, you got to learn the Bach suites. I'm like, what are the Bach suites? So she hands me the Casals CDs and the Rostropovich VHS, a double VHS. So I went home with those and I kind of imbibed that. But that was before I even had the music to it. I was like overwhelmed by Bach's music. I'm talking about Bach a little too much right now, probably, but those are monumental pieces.
Yeah.
So that's part of my journey. And we went to Harmony House probably once a week. My dad's favorite store, Tool Traders, was like right next to it. So I'm like, hey, we go to
That's
Harmony
awesome.
House, we go to Tool Traders.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that's a great trade off, right? So my CD collection grew pretty quickly. And I'm looking for St. Saëns Concerto now, but then I see a Maria Kliegel recording of complete St. Saëns cello and orchestra music, which has the second concerto and the suite. And I kind of got obsessed with the second concerto and the suite, and I was like, I don't really like the first concerto anymore because the second one is so much better, in my opinion, in my teenage
So you were
opinion.
doing a lot of things and like really exploring from a young age then.
Yeah, yeah, it just
So
happened to be that Naxos had all of these like they had Popper. Like I got interested in the Popper concertos pretty early, just
mhm.
because it was there. I bought the CDs. I really wanted to learn about it.
So tell me about your what you found. We haven't talked about this yet, so I'm curious about anything that you found through the Suzuki repertoire. I teach a lot out of these
Hmm.
books, and I think there are a lot of people who, there are certain things I know about, like, Christian Petzold or,
Hmm.
Marais and Lully, all this stuff. But I wonder if you could even just go through from, maybe even if you don't mind going through kind of in an organized fashion from book one, and just tell me everything you know.
Well, I don't have the repertoire memorized right now, but just thinking some of those attribution of Bach, I still say Bach minuet in G, even though it's Petzold. That's like ingrained in me that it's Bach's minuet in G, and it's so popular as that. But going into just what struck me going into like witches dance, right? Uh, uh, this came really early on. My teacher was getting rid of some LPs, and I'm listening to them like he got rid of Dvorak's Cello Concerto with Perenni playing, and Haydn's C major Concerto with Sadlo. That's like the first recording, and he gave me Salvatore Accardo's Paganini concertos, which had Le Streghe on it. And I'm listening to this, and I'm thinking, this sounds really familiar.
Wait, what
And
is it? Could you type it in the chat? What is that called?
Le Streghe, the witch, is Strega is a witch. Let me find, how do you do this chat? So Paganini, uh, Le Streghe. Do you see that?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a theme of variations, and I'm thinking that sounds so familiar. Oh, it's Suzuki. Or then I come across Beethoven's variations on a theme by Handel. I'm like, that's Suzuki. I'm actually playing repertoire. I'm hearing repertoire that I learned as a kid from the Suzuki books, or the Allegro Moderato from the third Suzuki book. uh, I'm listening to Viola da Gamba sonatas by Bach, and I'm like, that sounds familiar. It's like, it's kind of annoying you. Like, what's that? It takes you a little bit to find out, but eventually you find out what it is, and you're like, I learned that in Suzuki. So Suzuki has some really incredible repertoire to get you started and moving towards more advanced repertoire. So thinking is the Witch's Dance is in the second book, right?
Yes.
So, thinking about that, it says that it's by Paganini, which is fair. 1 second, I have to say goodnight to my kids. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh,
Okay.
how old are they?
The oldest one is 5.5, and the youngest one of these is 2. But we also have a 1 year old.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And you're doing this. Well, thank you.
Yes, yeah, no problem. I'm enjoying this.
My daughter's
My
6,
kid,
so she'll calm down pretty soon, I'm sure.
my kids are very musical. They sing the Kabalevsky Second Cello Concerto and Popper's Invalda and Pagani's theme on one variations on one string. They're singing it all.
That's
Either I'm
awesome.
playing it or my students are playing it. So yeah, so going back to the Witches Dance, when you dig just a little bit deeper, you'll find out that Süssmayer wrote the theme to Witches Dance, not Paganini.
Okay, tell me about that.
And so Süssmayer, I don't know how many people know about Süssmayer, but he was the first one to finish Mozart's Requiem.
Okay.
And he has a ballet, I believe, called The Witches of Benevento. And the theme comes from the Benevento, like, good wind. Do you want me to type that in too?
Yeah, yeah, I'm curious how it's spelled.
Uh, I think the ballet is called Il Noce, which means not. Uh, Di Benevento. That's to the best of my knowledge. I think that's what it's called. Il Noce.
Oh, I see.
The not of
Benevento.
Benevento, yeah. But in English, it's called The Witches of Benevento. and
Okay.
and so the theme comes from there, and that's not the only place that Paganini used that theme. He has this collection of guitar pieces where he used that theme also.
So why did Süssmayer? So he wrote it, and then Paganini used the theme in his theme and variations.
Yeah, kind of like the theme, the Paganini's Variations on One String is based on a
Right.
prayer from Rossini's Moses in
Right.
Egypt. So that was like really popular to do, uh, to use other people's. I mean, it's still popular to use other people's themes as your uh, like basis on variations. Kind of
I
like
see.
a Young People's Guide to the Orchestra by Britten is based on Henry Purcell's Rondo from
Right. Right.
Abdelaziz Suite. So it's kind of like that. Like to me, it seems like if you attribute something to Britten, but it's actually by Purcell. So in Suzuki Book 2, where it says the theme is by Paganini, that's true in a way because Paganini used that theme, but the actual notes were written by Süssmayer.
So I wonder, in something like Britain, if he's taking a theme from Purcell,
Mm-hmm.
then when we use that, then there might be something in I don't know. Is there attribute? What is? I have so many questions, but if I don't even know if you know the answer to this, but
Mm-hmm.
what is the standard for documenting that attribution?
Uh, well, you usually want to attribute it to the correct composer, like the original composer. Like let's say I'm going to play a Purcell's original Abdelaziz suite, of which the rondo is the second movement, which I've done with my string orchestra. I'm not going to put that it's by Britten or that in the program. I'm not going to say that this is Britten's theme from the Young
Oh,
People's Guide for the Orchestra.
oh, so you wouldn't write Britain's. You wouldn't put Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra by Britten. You would say that it was by Purcell.
No, what I'm saying is that
Oh,
if when
I'm
I'm
confused.
playing, when I'm conducting the rondo by Purcell,
Yeah,
the actual rondo that's for string orchestra,
right.
I would put Purcell's name there.
Well, yeah, of course, because that's by Purcell. But when we're attributing something like Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra,
Of course, it's by Britten.
Britain, but then I wonder with this something like this Paganini, then we would still attribute it to Paganini, right?
Uh, I think we can, if we take this as an excerpt from that piece. Uh, but I think the full title. I don't know how much space you want to take up. Maybe in the back of the book you can, or even in the footnote. I think that would be the perfect place to do, like put a asterisk next to Paganini and say that the theme is actually by Süssmayer from that particular ballet.
Yeah, okay. So the ballet is Il Noce di Benevento.
Yeah,
That's the ballet.
yeah, and that's where the theme comes from.
I see. And is it the same melody? Like does
Yeah,
Paganini gets it around much or
it's very similar. I mean, I've never seen the score, but from the two sources that I've seen of Paganini using that theme, the one for violin is in 2/4, and it's kind of
okay,
a clipped. It's da 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 da, right?
right?
The one for guitar is actually in 6/8, so it's da 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 da. So he keeps it in kind of
Oh,
compound meter the whole time.
yeah. Oh,
But it's
that's
the same theme.
interesting.
It's the same notes. It's
And
recognizable as the same thing.
I see. And then Paganini's that's the theme, right? What we have in the Suzuki books is the theme,
Yes.
right? Okay, so that's I mean that's in there in the Suzuki books. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So thinking about the third book, um, I already mentioned the Allegro Moderato of
Yeah, that's the Gambasana. That one I know pretty
yeah,
well.
yeah.
It's
But
it's abridged,
what I
but
recently found out is that uh, that abridging or abridgment, I don't know what's correct, is actually by Charles Crane. So if you look at his intermediate music for cello, he's got two.
Yeah.
The first volume is cello music for beginners or something like that, 10 pieces in first position. And the second one is like 9 pieces. I don't remember exactly, but that Allegro Moderato is actually called Allegro Moderato. He gave those pieces like his own names. They were not their original names. So it's really easily traceable to Charles Crane.
So, New School of Cello Studies, Book One and Two, is that what you're talking about?
No, no, I'm talking about the collections, the Bach for cello collections.
Oh, he has collections of. Oh, I see.
Yeah, he's got 2 volumes of Bach for cello. So the first one is called Bach for cello in first position, and the second
Okay.
one is called Intermediate Bach for cello. Shar carries both of those volumes, I think.
Oh, sorry, I'm like typing so loudly, but I don't want to bother muting myself.
That's
So
fine.
it's from the second book.
Yeah, it's the first and second book, and it's called Allegro Moderato. He actually, Charles Crane, chooses his own names for those pieces. He doesn't use Bach's original names.
Oh, so this one was from Crane's book then, basically,
Yeah,
and was just taken
yeah,
as such.
yes, with the exact same like measure account.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I bet if whoever was compiling the Suzuki books initially actually took it from the Gamba sonatas, they would have attributed it to the Gamba sonatas as opposed to calling it Allegro
Allegro
Moderato.
Moderato,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, cool.
So
So,
go ahead.
no, 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 go ahead.
Oh no, no, but if you want to stay in the third book, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So what would you like to ask?
Oh, no, I was just going to I didn't know how well you knew the repertoire or how well you had a list of things because I could just help you by giving you,
Oh,
you know.
sure. Or I can minimize. Let me see. Exit full screen. I don't want to look like I'm leaning too much. Uh,
You're fine.
let me see height. I'll pull up my website really quickly because that's where I did the that's where I have the list.
Oh, you have the list of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have the list on my website of the things that were either misattributed or whatnot. So here, hard to believe it's been a month and a half since I wrote these. So okay, let me go down here. So
Where is
book
it on your
three,
website?
it's if you go to just yurileonovich.com and go
Uh-huh.
down on the main page, there's going to be
Here, I'll put this in the chat.
blogs, kind of like news blogs. I think that's what it's called, something like
Yeah,
that.
got it.
Yeah, and when you click on view all posts, you'll see
Hmm.
that there's a Suzuki
Oh, got
picture.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, I'll just put this in the chat room.
Hmm. So I guess in Suzuki Book 3 you also get that famous Not Luli Gavad, which is by Mireille, and I think
Yes.
you're aware of that. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people are aware of that, so I don't know if you wanted to actually
Yeah,
talk about.
I think that one's pretty standard, but we'll just say Luli Gavadas by Marin Marais. Now that's like pretty certain, isn't that true?
Yeah, yeah, it's from his first book of Viola da Gamba solos. I think it's like number 24. Yeah, I think that's what I have written down. Yeah, it's called Pièce de Violet. I don't know how to say
Yeah, yeah,
things in
yeah.
French, but it's from the first book.
Oh,
And
okay.
uh, uh, the names Moffat and Burmester should be kind of like um, when you see those names, they should make you scratch your head.
Which
Even if
ones?
the Moffat and Brewmaster, they were the editors in the late 1800s, early 1900s, compiling these books like of some Martini sonatas, Dell'Abaco sonatas, and whatnot, like Lully attributing things to those composers.
I see. Okay.
Like we'll get to the Sammartini Sonata later, but uh, pretty sure they help propagate the Sammartini name as opposed to the other two.
I see. Great. Okay. I'm like trying to take it's all on here on your website, right?
Yes,
So,
yeah, it's
yeah,
very
great.
carefully documented.
Yeah, great. Okay, actually then let's go back to book 1.
Mm-hmm.
Um oh, I didn't know that Ihr Kinderlein Kommet is by Johann Schultz. That's interesting. So is there a history behind O Come Little Children, that melody?
I haven't looked too much into some of these, like the things that I teach my students all the time. Like you have to remember that I'm dealing with past book one usually. That's just what it is. That's the nature of the beast of my profession is that I'm dealing with kind of book three and up. So a
Right.
lot of these I just mark that that's what they are, but never really looked into it that far.
Yeah, that's totally fine, of course. Um, oh, this is great. Okay, I'll just look really quickly through. So Twinkle, I didn't realize Twinkle was a gavotte. That's interesting. That's
Uh,
great.
yeah, it's that's just my little that uh, that's my offering. That's
I
what
love
I
that even
sing.
dum
Yeah,
bum 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 dun
yeah,
dun 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 dun. Dun. It like takes on a whole new feeling
yeah, yeah.
actually.
So you're not thinking da da
Dun
da
dun
da
dun dun
da,
dun
but
dun.
da
Yeah,
da. It helps you phrase, right? So it has a lilt.
right. Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, I'm gonna start playing it that way. Oh, that's cool that you have a catalog number for Rigadon and that Purcell Rigadon, and then so the
Yeah.
is anonymous. It's not. I
Yes.
thought it was from the Anna Magdalena notebook, actually.
It is from the Anna Magdalena notebook, but the composer, the actual person that wrote the notes, is anonymous.
So in Anna Magdalena's in her notebook, is it not attributed to anybody,
I
or does she not have attributions in her notebook?
I don't remember exactly what uh, the what was it called? The manuscript looks like, but I think Bach just has these as exercises. Very few of them are attributed with real names. Like
I
Petzold
see.
is in there, but it's not attributed to Petzold.
Oh, oh,
Right?
that's interesting.
The minuet in G, the one that we know, dun, da, 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 da,
Right. Yeah,
right? That's in there, but it's not attributed to Petzold in there.
I see.
So I
Yeah, I
think
think that
uh,
one's pretty widely known to be by Petzold. I wonder then, is does he have a publication with it then?
who does?
Does Petzold have like a book of pieces where that one is in there? That's how we know it's from him.
He must. I haven't looked too deeply into that.
Okay, all right.
Just because it's so well known, I just touched upon it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's fine. Okay, so oh, that's I love that you did this finale of the well the book. I won't stay on book two and so since this is all really well documented in here, that's very good. I just want to look through and make sure that um the Gothic Gavotte, that
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have any firm evidence that it's by that Australian composer, but it's uh, it's just it's fun to uh, like what I will say is that sometimes you'll see these clumps of publications in a decade, and you wonder which one came first and who copied whom.
right, right.
Uh, it's just interesting to me that I think three or four publications with that Gavotte came out, and the only one that's not called Gavotte by Gossek is this Pierrette one. So it's like which one doesn't look like the others?
Right.
So
That's interesting that this is also a Moffat and Burmeister publication
Hmm.
in one of their collections. Maybe they were really good at taking other pieces that they didn't.
Yeah, another piece that's not in the Suzuki books that's been driving me crazy is another gavotte by Meul, Mehul. Uh,
Mehul?
yeah, uh, um, Pasado recorded it, and I don't know where it comes from. I spent half the summer trying to locate it, but I looked at Meul's other gavottes and they don't sound like that.
Wait, so you're saying that you think it might be by him?
Oh no, I'm saying a different gavotte is a kind of. I'm talking about Burmester now.
I see. Oh, got it.
Yeah, Moffat Burmester. Like when you look at their collections, they've misattributed a lot of.
Ah, got it. Got it.
The way that I found, I kind of went on this hunt. I know of this website called Rhythm. It's a really great website. So if you're looking for uh, Renaissance, Baroque, or classical, 90% of the time, I won't say 99, but 90% of the time, you will find what you're looking for.
Wait, what is it? Website? What is the website?
It's called Rhythm, RISM,
Oh,
and it's
oh, Rhythm. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, rhythm.info.
Wait, that didn't dot info. I see. Yeah, I haven't gone there in so long. I didn't even realize.
Yeah, so uh,
I didn't even know it was online.
yeah, yeah, so they have an option to put in a melody with a keyboard if you go to their advanced search.
Oh.
So if you see something that you think is by Bach or by Handel or by Lully or by Telemann or whoever, Pergolesi, you you will put the first notes of the piece that you know of, and it will pop out a list of pieces that use those notes.
Oh my goodness. So like here, I'm going to here we go. I just already did the D if anyone. So if I do that, they might come up with Marais. Oh, so it but that's the type of thing.
Can
That's
you
pretty
can
cool.
you
It
do
probably
fewer notes? Can you do fewer notes? Dun 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 dun. Just do that.
okay, here we go. So not so many notes.
Yeah, do fewer notes. Yeah,
Like
and
that
just stop
much.
right there. Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
See, that's all the pieces that get it.
Have those kinds of
So
notes.
once you see a list that large, then I would go back and add a couple more
Add more
notes.
notes. Oh, there's your Meu.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I know people who are working on stuff like this kind of thing with input with singing even. Um,
Mm.
just so curious what all is on here. That's so great. There's probably gonna be way too much for me to
Yeah,
look
yeah.
through.
Explore that in your own time. You can get lost in in that website and just go on these rabbit trails.
Yeah,
Spend way too much
apparently,
time on it.
because I can't stop looking at it right now.
Yeah, so I started putting in notes from Bach for the Charles Crane book, and that's how I found uh, all those pieces.
Oh, it's great. Wow, that's so cool.
And you can have research projects that last years. I'm actually working on a research project that's been taking me 5 years, and I haven't made much headway in 5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I might talk about that later, but and there's some research projects that are just like you know the sort or the database you're looking through. You know it's reliable,
Right.
and you just put in your incipits. That's what's called incipit, like the first few notes of the piece, and it pops out whatever, basically whatever you look at. Obviously, I'm not going to say that that Luli Gavat is by 102 composers. I'm actually
Right.
going to find the incipit that looks the most like it and go trace the source.
Right. Right. Oh, that's great. Nice. Thank you for that. That's cool.
But you will not find the Gossa Gavat there. I tried.
Oh, you tried to find it in there?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I just
not
went
in
through all
there.
of it and it's not in there. That's so interesting. But the Marais is published, so
Yeah.
that's really interesting. Okay, so this Braval piece is actually the accompaniment is by Schroeder.
Yes, the accompaniment is pretty sure it's by Schroeder. It's the one that International publishes.
Yes.
Um, the cello part, I mean, it is by Braval, like 100% by Braval. It comes from the Opus 40. It's Opus 40 number one. Uh, the I didn't put this in, but I just released with a friend of mine. We released the Opus 40 complete and Opus 28 complete of Braval's, and the rondo movement is missing three measures in the
Can you
Suzuki
describe
book.
which measures they are? Do you know?
Well, it's really
It's well, it's
funny.
not in the A section, right? Is it in the B or the C section?
It's actually in the A section.
Oh, it is. So now
Yes,
it's missing three
yeah,
times.
yes, missing three times. Yes, exactly. So if you look at the phrase structure, the A section, the rondo theme is 16 bars.
Yeah.
It's very regular. Da 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 da
Right.
da 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 da. Right, you got your four measure phrase, and you got four measures repeating. You'll notice in Suzuki that's a 15 measure phrase, not a 16 measure phrase.
So it's miss. Oh, you mean it's missing three bars? Because I've noticed that. So okay.
So it's instead of having three 16 measure phrases, it's three 15 measure phrases.
I love this.
Look at measure 15. Did you
Yeah.
notice it? There,
Yeah. Well.
there's not enough arpeggio notes.
Oh, so it just goes down. Does it go down and up?
It like adds. I mean, I can go get a copy of it. It
You
just
could.
goes da 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 da. It's two full measures
Oh.
instead of uh, instead of the one measure that kind of goes down. It kind of it arpeggiates each note.
That's so interesting. Da, 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 da,
Da 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 da
da,
da
da,
da
da,
da.
da, da, da. Da. Does it go to E? Da ba 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 ba.
Yeah, it
Something
goes
like that.
like all the way down there, arpeggio.
Oh, I see. Oh. Oh, that's interesting.
Let
Why would they take that out?
well, Schroeder took it out.
Oh, so this is Schroeder's version.
Yeah, and then all the other people copied it.
I think we should put it back in.
Yeah, Schroeder introduced that, and let me see, Sonata project. Hmm. I'm just gonna pull up. Um, I don't know how to do screen share. Can you share with me how to do screen share?
Yeah, so on the green button, you're on a computer, right?
Yes, I am.
Just click the green button once, and then you look at the screens that show up, and those are all the windows, or then you just pick the window that looks like it's the best. Like if it's your browser, you just choose if Chrome or Safari or whatever your browser is.
Okay. Can you see that?
And then you have to
No.
hit the share
Okay.
button at the bottom.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So measure 12. You see where the cursor is?
Oh my goodness. I'm
Measure
gonna
12.
screenshot this right now. This is great.
Do you see where the missing measure is?
Yes, of course. Da, 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 da. And then so there's no piano part written for this, right?
No, it's just two cellos. It's student and teacher.
Oh, it's a student and teacher. Do you know what so do you know the original? The original is
Two
from what?
cellos. It's the Opus 40 sonatas.
Oh, so the Opus 40 has the teacher part.
Yeah, let me see. Can you see me?
So you can unshare by going to the top. There's a red button.
I see. But I want to find this for you.
And then you could reshare again with the whatever new screen you find.
Okay, stop share.
That's cool. I like knowing that. It's funny, I feel like it's there that it's missing because it's a 3 and a 5 bar phrase,
Yeah.
right? Instead of a
Mm-hmm.
4 and a 4. The
Mm-hmm.
original is 3 and 5. But one two three one two bum bum,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So the part that I find awkward is not the part where it's missing.
I'm trying to find. I might not be able to find it as a Schroeder. I don't have stuff labeled well. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. I'm
I just
I'm
know
excited
where.
about
I just know where stuff is, and I just. Okay. I might not be able to find this right now,
that's
but
okay.
yeah. So, but uh, this I'll share this. This is the publication that my friend and I did. My friend is in Italy. You probably have seen him. His name is Michele Galvano, and
Do you
he
mind if I share this? Since you and your friend did this, I'm screenshotting this, but I just realized.
oh
Do
you
you mind if I?
I don't mind if you share this. This is kind of just part of educational material.
That's great. Thank you so
So
much. It's
so do you see it's right here? It's just two cellos right here.
yeah, that's the original basically.
Yeah, that's the original bass part is based on the manuscript, and here is measure 13.
Great.
You get the two E's.
Down. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Why that's I think he must have felt that 3 and 4 and then didn't think about the 3 and the 5 and didn't think about it and made it into a four. A
You know
four
what?
a four.
I have another funny story because uh, Fouillard made these into concertos. Concertos. So now everyone is,
The Bravall pieces.
yeah, everyone is now confused about concertos because they're saying the D major concerto where the rondo comes from is a concerto by Braval, which is not. And the issue is that Braval made a concerto out of this sonata, which is called like concerto, or is it concertino number two? I think it's concertino number two. And he also takes out a bar, but he takes out a different bar.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna write that down. I wonder what I wonder why they would take out a bar. It's just is so interesting, all of this stuff that anyways. Schroeder. Okay, so the Tchaikovsky piece, that chanson triste.
It's a pretty straightforward transcription of the piano melody. It's not quite Popper. Popper goes into a little counter melody in the recap. So, and Popper's is actually some of it is in bass clef. The Suzuki version is specifically geared towards learning tenor clef, but Popper's changes things up. If it needs to go into tenor clef, it does, but otherwise it's in bass clef.
And this is a transcription of which piano piece? Do you happen to know?
Yes, it's uh, Opus 40 also is by Tchaikovsky though. They're called 12 pieces of medium difficulty, and I
Okay.
believe it's the second piece, so Opus 40 number two.
Okay. Nice. Opus 40 number 2.
Those are really nice pieces too. If you know the Russian dance from Swan Lake,
Yeah.
it started off as a piano piece of medium difficulty, which then was interpolated into a later version of Swan Lake.
Probably there's a arrangement somewhere that they got it from. Back when these books were being made, there were so many arrangements of things, and there wasn't really a
Yeah,
standard of attribution or anything like that. So, the 70s. So there's probably a book with a lot of these things in it, and they just
yeah,
took it, you know?
yeah. Probably something like Moffat and Brewmaster. You never
Yes,
know.
exactly. Okay, I'll
That's
keep on
great.
going through your list here.
Sure.
So, who did the figured bass for the Vivaldi?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. That's kind of a question for Suzuki. It's not Della Piccolo. It's Della Piccola. It's not any of the famous ones, the Schirmer edition. So someone, I'd be interested to know who wrote the piano parts to some of those like figure bass realizations, because they needed to fill out some of those parts in the Anna Magdalena books, right? So there had to be a staff composer.
You
Unless
know,
Suzuki
no,
did that
knowing what
himself.
I feel like I know about it, I think that they just found a book somewhere,
Okay.
and it looked like a good book that was sitting around. Like this would fit what we want right now,
Mm.
or it's something someone had been using from a book and said, "I would love to conclude this piece." But I know the person who wanted this in, so I can ask about the Tchaikovsky stuff like that, and the Vivaldi maybe even too. So, but probably it's from a book. But I don't think they remember, quite honestly, where they got them from.
Well, look, I
Um,
think this is a good segue just to do a little blurb about about this research project that I'm doing. So I'm working with Greensboro, uh, the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. They have that giant cello collection, and their curator, who's the nicest person in the world, like I want her job.
what's her
Uh,
name?
Her name is Stacy Krim, and you ask her for anything, she'll give it to you. She's like the nicest person ever.
It's awesome. It's so good to
And
know.
so, if you have a question about anything, ask her about any repertoire for cello. Well, funny thing is, she had a question for me, and she sent me these three anonymous manuscripts, two of them from the Eisenberg collection, and I've kind of gotten obsessed, especially with this one piece. I'm thinking it sounds Russian, but the text is in English. It's printed on American paper, but it sounds Russian. But the cello part is so violin-like, and I'm breaking my hair out. I still have the hair though, but it's grown back. I'm going back to like early 1900s Russian composers. I can't find anything. I'm thinking maybe it's British. It's got some British things in it, but no, I gotta have all the clues in. So I've gone to so many people. Like someone has to know in this world what piece this is. There has to be someone. No one knows. I've contacted the Granger Society, the when I thought it was British maybe or American, the Granger Society, the Delia Society. I talked to a crane specialist in Germany, Alexander Crane, Julian Crane, Gregory Crane, the Crane family, because it sounded like Crane to me. I talked to a Metner specialist. I'm like, come on, guys, like this has to be something, and no one has the answer. And right now, I'm in touch with um, an archive in Baltimore at Peabody. Uh, I came across this name, Vladimir Padua. He he was the accompanist for Misha Elman for the longest time. He created it was called the first piano quartet. It was an actual quartet of pianos, not like violin, viola, cello, piano. And this was in the like after World War II, and that's when I was placing these pieces right around World War II.
Wow, good call.
So, but I've been working on this for 5 years, and no one has been able to help me. So I'm like, so I'm going to send this manuscript to Peabody. I'm running out of choices, right? There has to be a certain amount of composers that lived, that wrote, that someone has to know, right? So I sent this manuscript to the Padua archives on Monday or Sunday, but they received it on Monday. Yesterday, I got an email back from their curator, and he says that it certainly looks like Padua's writing. That was
Wow,
like music to my ears.
congratulations.
Well, now he's saying we have so much music by Padua that you need to tell me where to look because I'm not going to look at the entire archive,
Oh no.
right? So
So now you
you're
have to get to
saying,
know that music.
well, I gave him a list of about 20 pieces to look at. So I'm waiting for that. I was hoping to say give you some good news today, but I'm still waiting.
Wow, that's so exciting.
Well,
Congratulations. At least you have a
thank you.
lead.
I do have a lead, the first lead ever in 5 years. But
Wow.
you're saying that someone had a book lying around that they wanted and they probably don't remember. I'm actually dealing with that every day. No one knows this. Like, do you know who Padua is? I've never heard of Padua
No, when
before
you said it, I was
Sunday.
going to ask you who that was. I was going to wait for you to stop so I could ask
But
you.
but apparently he was a really famous accompanist for Misha Elman.
That's
You,
crazy.
yeah, I wouldn't have even figured out, like, he wasn't even on my radar before
Wow.
Sunday. So, we can look into these, and people are dying every day, and we got to catch them before, like, we need to find that chain
Right.
of
Right.
who knew who.
Right.
We
Right.
might never know where these pieces came from because either they didn't care or they just, I had this photocopy lying around, let's just typeset it and put it in.
Yes, see, so I think that some of it might be that. But I will start. This is good because it'll start me going. And then I know more people in this
Hmm.
organization that I can ask who are putting together the books. I don't know how knowingly they did some of these or what books, knowing which books they came from.
Hmm.
It's very exciting though. Okay.
Well, then we get to Brival, and I kind of touched on Brival a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
So this particular rondo comes from Opus 28, number one.
One.
I actually have a few students working on this sonata. It's a great sonata. So if you're looking to branch out, like using the Suzuki method as kind of the springboard and branching out into like other repertoire that's featured in the Suzuki method, I would go through the Opus 40s first. The Brevals, they are graded, and so you're learning basically bass clef. You're going up to A. They're kind of like easier Vivaldi sonatas, less string crossings.
Yeah, Raval was so brilliant as a cellist teacher composer.
Yeah, and then the next set of six sonatas is actually the Opus 28, and they all use exclusively tenor clef, with the exception of the last sonata that has a few open C strings where he changes the to bass clef, but otherwise it's all tenor clef. So if you want to give your students a nice practice, just exclusively tenor clef, I don't think you can go wrong with the Opus 28s.
That's so good to know. Are those published in a print or are they all in manuscript form?
So my friend and I are working through the Brival sonatas, and we did publish. Uh, his company is called Artistic Score Engraving.
Artistic, what was that?
Score Engraving.
Engraving. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that in the chat in case I'm gonna save the chat and put it in the
Mhm. Yeah. So
artist or artistic.
artistic,
Okay, great.
and he sells that on Gumroad. I think it's like gumroad.com or something. I don't remember exactly.
Okay.
Uh, let me see if I can get a link. Berval 28 Gum
Oh, Galvan, Michelle Galvan,
Galvano. Yeah, Galvano.
publications.
Yeah, let me put this into the chat also.
Oh, Gumroad, is that what you said?
Chat. Here you go. There it is.
Great. Okay. Nice. Thank
So
you.
those are which ones are those? Those are Yeah, the Opus 28. Those are the ones that train you in tenor clef.
So the 28 is tenor clef.
Yes.
Great.
And
And then the
then
Opus 40s, are they, those are already published?
we published a new version of them, but there are some more expensive versions. We try to be competitive, but we also want people to buy our products. We know that people are not made out of money, so we're not going to charge a ton. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my philosophy. I have my own publishing company, and I would rather have more of my music in people's hands than try to line my money with Washingtons, my line my pockets. I mean,
Oh, that's great. So you can buy all six of those Opus 28s.
yeah, they come in like a complete set.
Oh, I see. I see. So
You
when you
can,
do it, you buy all of them.
yeah, yeah. The 1750, that's all of them, and the 350 is just the first one.
I see. Oh, I see. So you can select different ones that you. Okay, I understand how this works now. Yeah, that's actually a little confusing on how that works. But you click on it, you highlight the one you want, then you go
Hmm.
down and say, I want this.
Yes.
So, okay, all
And
right.
then anytime we have uh, a correction, I believe you get a notification that a new file was updated or was uploaded.
Okay, great. Oh, that's exciting too. Great. I actually just went ahead and bought it just now.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, okay, so another piece here. So in book, oh, I have to go back to your screen. Book seven. So book seven. Whoa. Okay, Eccles.
Yeah, Eccles.
Tell us about Eccles.
So if I turned in someone else's work as my own, I would probably get an academic misconduct and get kicked out of school.
Right.
But for some reason, you could publish a collection with your name and not attribute anything to anyone else and be cool with it in the 1700s.
Right.
So that's basically what Eccles did. So scholars don't really know what part is Eccles and what part is this Bonporti and which part is Veracini. Um,
Oh, I
so
see.
so they've been able to trace Veracini's sonatas and Bonporti's sonatas to things that have come up in manuscripts. It comes up just, hey, I have a manuscript. Are you interested in it? Yeah, I'm interested in it. Hey, this looks familiar. Can you look at it? This looks really familiar. Like, I need a second opinion. And they're like, hey, this sounds like Eccles. So, was it Eccles or was it Bonporti? I have this manuscript in Bonporti's handwriting. Um, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like
Yes.
you just stumble upon it. A lot of scholarship is just like no strategy. It's let's dig uh, through an archive and see what kind of fun stuff we can find.
So you're saying that this is by Bonporti.
The Courant movement is the second movement.
Okay.
That one. That's by Bonporti for sure.
Okay. This is my daughter coming to say goodnight. Turns out today. Ta-da. So, and that's okay. Over here, I'm trying to manage this other screen. So, from his invention opus 10, number 4.
Yes, and inventions. When you see the word invention, you automatically think of these single movement Bach inventions, but
Right.
they're not like that. They're like church sonatas and chamber sonatas, like four movements, five movements, three movements.
Yeah, right.
So each invention is just think of it as a sonata. They're not one. They're not single movement works.
Okay. Oh, oh, great. It's interesting.
So even
Um,
titles at that time, like, did you call it a sonata or a partita or a suite or an invention or an overture? You know, those things can be used interchangeably.
right, right, yeah. And then the Fun Paradis, the infamous Fun Paradis.
Hmm.
I feel like it's infamous.
And so that that's a funny story. I have a funny story about the this Sicilian. So we used to have a satellite TV when I was a teenager. That was like all the rage to have like 1,000 channels, and you don't know what to look, what to watch. So we had a classical music station on there. So instead of watching boring shows, I would put on the classical music station, and there wasn't any talking. It was just like music playing, and I heard a lot of great music there. And one of the pieces was this Sicilian by Paradis, and it was an arrangement. I think Kelly Yost was the pianist. I don't know if it's of any interest, but it was one of those easy listening type of piano CDs. Like, I'm going to watch the rain outside, and listen to this kind of CD. That's like one of those CDs. I've actually, I kid you not, I bought a CD from some store with Schumann's Fantasy-Stücke with rain noises in the background. So it's that kind of CD, and I kind of enjoyed that piece. So I tried to find the music to it, and I couldn't find it. But this was before uh, my real sleuthing days. So I went to Royal Music. I don't know if you remember it.
I do remember Royal Music. That's so funny that we
Uh,
know all the same places.
yeah, I used to go to Royal Music all the time. So I was looking for this particular arrangement. I couldn't find it, and then I kind of stumbled upon this kind of boring version with that da da. That's not the Paradis Sicilian that I knew. The other one was like kind of hoppy, kind of like remind me of Pepe Le Pew. Uh, da 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 da. Like that was the accompaniment. So, um, I kind of took it at face value. I didn't realize it was not by Paradis, and um, I had a friend. We read so much material. Like during the summers at CIM, we would just raid the library. And CIM music library was huge, and we actually had like two or three libraries that carried music at in the Case Western Reserve campus. And so we would take a stack of music. We didn't care what it was for. It was for oboe, flute, violin. If it was for two pianos, we did it. If it was a symphony orchestra score, we just played it. We somehow pared it down to cello and piano. So I brought in my Chrysler arrangement once. Uh, I have a pretty big score library at home. So I brought one of the volumes of Chrysler's violin arrangements, and I was like, "Hey, why don't we just read some Chrysler?" And one of the pieces in there was this Weber Larghetto from one of his violin sonatas arranged by Chrysler. And we start playing it. I'm like, "This sounds familiar. What is this? It's got to be like." And then I realized it was the Von Paradis, the Sicilian,
That's
in a
crazy.
different key, the exact same accompaniment. He didn't even try to hide that the entire set, like it's A B, like it's binary form with repeats.
Right.
The entire B section is completely lifted into the Paradis. It's just in a different key. It's in B flat instead of E flat.
Oh no. So, but you said who was the one in the collection you
In
had?
the collection, it was by Weber, arranged by Chrysler.
But you say in your, did you find out then that it's
Uh,
by,
but then I traced it back to Dushkin, who ripped off Chrysler, arranging Weber. So it's like
oh, wait.
three degrees of
Oh, so,
separation.
okay. So it's originally by Weber
It's originally by Weber, who was,
and then
and then Chrysler
transcribed.
arranged it for just like uh, rearranged where the violin plays the entire melody as opposed to the piano. So
And
Chrysler,
then,
and then Dushkin took that piece, kind of twisted around some notes, changed the key, and made it into the Sicilian we know today as by Paradis.
oh my goodness. And then Paradis, von Paradis, she arranged the Dushkin one.
Now, Von Paradis is a historic figure. She didn't have anything to do with it.
So the version we know is by Dushkin,
Dushkin,
well,
yeah.
turned it into the version we know
Yes.
with an original melody by Weber, basically.
Basically, yeah. Let me see if I can pull it up on IMSLP. Love IMSLP. That's a great site. I
Yeah.
have lifetime membership for free because I contribute so much. I don't know if
Do
it's a
you
good thing.
really?
Yeah, they gave me it's renewable every 10 years.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, because I contribute. But I don't know if it's something to be proud of. Um,
I
kind of
think
like
so.
uh,
To me, that's kind of like rock star status.
do you edit Wikipedia? That's pretty much how it
I
is.
am not a researcher. I like talking face to people and finding my information. It's just I have trouble researching anything.
Okay, I'm going to share screen again with you.
Okay, great.
There it is. This is cool. You're teaching me how to use this. Okay, do you see a larghetto?
Yeah.
Does it look familiar?
Okay. Now,
You see that? That's like almost
I can see it. Yeah, what's the B section like? I'm so curious now.
so.
Da dee da 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 dum. Ba dee da 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 da. Oh da 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 yeah da da bo da 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 yeah oh da da da
You're
da
right. You know
da
that
da
that that
da da. That's the giveaway right there.
yeah, that's a big giveaway.
Da
That
da
that
da da ya da 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 dee da 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 yum bum ba. Yeah. Actually, go back to the A section. I'm so curious. Could you put that in the chat? That link. Da da
sure. Yeah.
da 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 ba da 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 da. Yeah.
You'll just need to.
Da da
I'll
da.
do. This is the best way to do it.
Yeah, probably.
Uh,
Yes.
and
You'll have to probably unshare to get back to your chat
okay,
easily.
great.
Wow, that's cool. So it isn't really. That was the Weber. What you showed me, I didn't even
Yeah,
pay attention.
that was Chrysler's arrangement of Weber.
So yeah, it isn't exactly. That's not it. But so the Dushkin is it.
Dushkin is it, but Dushkin, you can see it's basically I don't know how to what kind of analogy like let's say you're making eggs and you put two eggs in, it's the same sunny side up eggs, so you're just getting either one side or the other side, but it comes from the same
Same
pan.
bag.
Yeah, or it's like candy, like you have a bag
So
of candy, right?
let's say this Sicilian. If you are writing a book for kids and putting in the Suzuki books, would you say that it was by Dushkin? And
I would
also attribute to Webern,
uh,
to,
yeah,
to
vapor.
yeah, attribute to Weber like in a footnote or something like that.
Well, no, I would not. I would what I would do if I were going to make it into a book, I would say it's by Dushkin and put an asterisk next to Dushkin's name and footnotes saying that it's formerly attributed to parodies. And just as a teacher, I would explain that this is roughly based on Chrysler. I think kid, kids don't need so much scholarly information. I think it's up to the teacher kind of to supplement that information.
So, I want to go over this. I don't want to keep you too long because I know
Hmm.
you're a human being, but I'm so curious. You have so much information. I'm just gonna do this last Sammartini. Sammartini. Oh, Moffat and Burma. Now I see your Burmester. Like this, when you see these guys' names, now I'm critical of them too.
Hmm.
It's actually Berthaud. So
Yes.
it's just Berthaud, right?
Uh, that particular version comes from Berthaud, Opus 1, six sonatas for cello and basso continuo. And it's number three. But Moffat and Burmester did not uh, put the last movement in. It's a four movement sonata.
Oh, I see.
But they took out the fourth movement and made it into a three movement sonata. It makes sense as a three movement sonata. And
It's a weird little sonata. I don't enjoy it. I don't.
it's
It's
not fun
very
to play.
awkward.
Yeah, but it is for cello originally.
Uh, um, I find it to be harmonically awkward. I find it to be, you know, not awkward necessarily. It's not horrible to play, but I just find
Hmm.
some things like the slow movement. I just I find no some people really like it. I just feel no connection to it. It's just interesting.
Hmm.
So this is my question to you, my final question to you for all of this stuff. So, and I'm going to take assiduous notes now. I've been taking notes, but so in San Martino, you would write by Martin Berthaud, number one, Opus 1, number 3 from Six Sonatas for Cello and Basso Continuo. That's what you would write.
I would write that.
So I'm
Or
going to
I
go
would.
through each of these and ask you this question. What you would write in the Suzuki books.
Hmm. Okay.
What were you
So
going to say after?
okay, so for the San Martini, what I would do is I would write sonata. Underneath, I would write, and like the subtitle would be something like Opus 1, number 3.
Uh-huh.
And where the composer's name is, I would put Berthaud, Martin Berthaud,
Okay.
and then goes the music. And I
Okay.
could put an asterisk next to it and put formerly attributed to Sammartini.
I see. And then would you put in from the Six Sonatas
I think it's kind of implied that there's more than one sonata
by the
when I put
Opus?
number 3.
Okay.
So I wouldn't go that in depth. I
Okay.
would let the teacher take care of that.
Which they might not do. Anyways, as we know, because a lot of these are wrong and people know it and still don't use it.
Yeah.
So the Sicilian you would write by Dushkin, formerly attributed to Paradis
Yes.
in some kind of um in some kind of footnote.
Hmm.
Okay, so um I'm just gonna do these now. Okay, so Eccles, you would write. Sorry, I need to have a better system so I don't take up so much of your time just reformatting. There we go. So it would be Courant, the Courant. Well, the first movement we don't know, right?
Yeah, first movement I would just leave as Eccles for now until we find out.
Okay,
But the
Eccles.
Courant, what I would do is next to Courant, where it says Courant, I would put an asterisk next to Courant and say that this piece is actually by Bonporti.
Okay, this second movement is. But you would Bonporti. Is it did I get that right? Bonporti. Bon Bonporti or Bonparti? Oh, Porti.
Porti,
So
maybe.
in this Eccles, would you say that this first and second movement are by Eccles, and then make a subnote that it's by Bonporti?
Uh, This one is a little bit difficult because it seems like Eccles was borrowing separate movements from separate pieces. So I would probably even,
Separate them?
because it's two movements and it's not the entire sonata, what I would probably do is kind of separate them and maybe put the composer as Eccles next to the Grave, which is a preludio anyway. And next to the Courant, I would put Bonporti, and it could be kind of like a various artists type of sonata.
Okay, so you would write sonata, first movement, which is not a grave. You would write that it was, what did you
A
call it?
preludium.
Oh, a preludium. And you would write that it was by Eccles until we know more. And then on the second movement, would you write under the same sonata?
I would probably either put sonata and put, um, or you know what? Maybe if we're already separating them, I would maybe even put invention, Opus 10. Just forget about Eccles completely and put it as by Bonporti. Like treat them as
Yeah,
two
so
different pieces.
invention, opus 10, number 4.
Mm-hmm. Not
And then
Courant.
not the first movement, it's just the only movement. So the movement name would be Courant.
Yes.
And then um right, the composer is Bonporti.
Yeah.
So and then the first one would be sonata, just the movement title would be Preludium.
Yeah.
Composer is Eccles. Okay, I don't want to take up too much of your time. So Braval Concerto,
I
that's by
would
Braval.
erase. Yeah, it is by Braval, but it's actually arranged by Fouillard, which Suzuki does well to say. But it's not from Concerto number 2. I would actually change that to Sonata Opus 28 number 1.
So sonata, opus 28, number 1, composer Braval,
And arranger,
arranged by Fouillard.
yeah.
This is okay. And then Vivaldi's sonata,
I would just leave that. I would
leave
put
it.
this RV40 instead of Opus 14. But that's just me.
Okay.
I just know it as RV40. I think the rhyme, what's his name? I forget what's his name. I think it's rhyme Verzeichnis. I think that's what it is, the
Oh,
RV number.
the number, the RV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. I can find that out. And then Chanson Triste, opus 40, number 2. That's the only
Yeah.
change.
Mm-hmm.
Let me make sure that that's right. Um, let's see. Was that right? Opus 40, number 2. Did I get
Yes,
that right?
yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
And then the Braval Sonata, opus 40, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct in the book?
Yes, that's correct in the book.
And then should I say arranged by Schroeder?
Maybe, or like piano part by Schroeder. I don't know. He did take out those three measures in the roundup theme.
Right. So that would be maybe the least of our worries.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah, maybe a footnote,
Mm-hmm.
if anything. Um, okay, and then the Louis Gavat would be Marama Ray Rondeau from the first book of Viola Gamba Sonatas, number 24. So,
Mm-hmm.
how would you write that in the book? What would you exactly say? Rondeau
Yeah, I
by
would put
Marais.
Rondo, and probably in the subtitle I would put from pieces for Viola da Gamba, book 1, something like that.
from uh from a book pieces, would you say?
Yeah, yeah, it's printed on my webpage. The pieces de
Okay.
violet
Okay.
or viol.
I'll look that up. Okay, so look this up. Okay, and then the Allegro Macho, the other ones I can find. Um, this is so nice of you to spend so much time doing this.
That's my pleasure.
I really appreciate it so much. And the Suzuki community, I hope will
Hmm.
we will figure this out and get this right going into the future. I'm gonna stop the recording here. So thank you very much
Okay.